confident doing. Sarah, you good? I just need to say I need a cheese pizza. A medium cheese pizza. Okay, do you want me to do it?
What will be the address?
84 Flint Street, sir!
84 Flint Street. Got it. Half an hour your money back.
Thank you! Have a good night! Oh my god, that was like the most adult thing I've ever done in my whole life.
Like, I pretty much feel ready to live on my own now.
That felt so natural. You were so good.
I was good. You were amazing.
Yeah, well, I've seen my mom do it, so it's like totally chill. So what do we do now?
Want to smoke?
Yeah, okay, but I'm out of weed.
Oh, that's fine. I can just call Jared to see if I can pick up tonight. Oh, hey man, what's up?
Angry Birds 5. This time it's birds. I'm so excited!
Why did you make me come to this? It was Hunter's turn to choose, so let's be supportive, sweetie.
Yeah, sweetie.
Okay, you don't want us to change our minds now.
The following trailer has been approved for this audience.
Shh! It started!
In a world
They need me.
where it's good against evil,
No one needs you.
only one can prevail.
That's where you're wrong, Eve Illman.
Bullshit.
Dad, are you sure this is okay for Hunter?
He can handle it.
Oh, shut up!
Make me. Hunter's not in kindergarten anymore. You can see this.
Okay.
Lives will be lost. Guts will be removed.
The humanity! There's so much blood! Help! Help! No! Oh, that's so gross.
Movies reflect the world, you know.
Gore is just a part of life.
But Ohio Smith will sure look cool doing it.
Gotta like.
Movie is rated PG-13.
It's just a cigarette.
Hunter, Skylar, I know you have good judgment, but if you ever so much as smoke a cigarette while you're living under my roof, so help me God.
It just makes me so scared to think that my babies would throw their lives away like that.
I swear I will disown you, and you're out of the will.
So the trailer's over now, and we're not corrupt, so I think we're fine.
The following trailer has been approved for this audience.
Let's just get through this.
Sometimes suicide is the only way to deal with the pain of the world.
We should watch this one. It's important.
I caught you knocking at my cellar door.
I ran out 4 days ago. That's how I know I'm not addicted or anything like that. Every time I stop, there's always a specific moment when I can just feel there's nothing in my system anymore. And honestly, sometimes that moment feels just as good as being high, like music sounds just as trippy, and the air feels just as special in my skin. But I can't, but I don't usually wait for that moment. Because when I'm not high, I'm just so unhappy all the time. And yeah, I get sad on the high too, but that's different. That's when I actually get to feel the feeling. When I'm sober, it's just a dull baseline of nothing. I'd rather feel absolutely devastated than feel nothing. Otherwise, I don't even feel like I'm alive. But all that is fine. I can deal with that. Like I said, I'm not addicted. I don't have to always be high, and I bet you wouldn't even be able to tell if I was. It never gets in the way. But I ran out 4 days ago, and now I can't sleep. I just lie there, awake. I don't know why. I've tried everything I can think of. I'm so tired, but sleep never comes anymore. I just sit there, unable to finish my homework, finish writing anything. I can't get through more than 10 seconds of a song, or a video, or an episode of TV, but I can do those things when I'm high, and maybe I can sleep too.
I love you, baby, can I have some more? Ooh, the damage done. I hit the city and I lost my band. I watched the needle take.
All right, everyone, welcome to parenting class.
Seems like we were here just yesterday.
I thought we'd be done back in the 80s.
Judging by the looks of it, we won't need to go over diaper changes or baby food.
No, ma'am?
Look, I've been a mother before. I know how to raise a baby. I'm just trying to figure out where I went wrong the first time.
Yeah. I just don't know how to tell my kids that they're not going to see their father very much anymore.
Wait a second, if I may. With my wife took care of these things. Look, I'm just trying to be as helpful as I can now that Jess isn't around to make the kids her cookies. Those damn cookies.
It sounds like most of you are taking care of kids that are toddlers or older. Perfect, we can skip potty training. Makes my job easier. We could go over lunch prepping.
Oh, come on. Look, not all of us have to know these things. I mean, maybe I'm just trying to learn how to prepare a simple lunch because I don't know how to. Well, I damn well don't know how to prepare for my daughter's funeral. Sorry. I just want to get this right. This time.
All I'm trying to do here is feel like I deserve a second chance because right now, I can't help but feeling like it was all my fault. Who's to say I won't make the same mistakes again? Look, this just isn't what I was looking for.
Good day.
For those just joining us tonight, I'm DJ Good Music.
I'm DJ BETCo.
We're here bringing you the top tracks in rap today. Now listen, folks, we've got a bunch of tasty hits coming down the pipeline, but we've got to take a minute right now to discuss the latest trend in the industry.
That's right, GM. Here are the top 5 tracks topping the charts today.
Bumping at the bottom of the list at number 5 is Red Rocket by rising star Dirty Dog.
And coming up at number 4 is Little Mama by the renowned Kitty Kitty Bang Bang.
At number 3 is Utterly Gorgeous by longtime friends of the show, the Barnyard Blitz.
And at number 2 for the 3rd week in a row is Did That Sheep Just Wink at Me by the NYC-based Mary and the Little Lamb.
Last but certainly not least, breaking into its 5th consecutive week at the top of the charts, Having Sex with Animals is Fun by the always iconic The Bestiality Boys.
Before we digress into more tunes, we have a very special interview for our listeners today. You may know him as the mastermind behind The Bestiality Boys. Everyone, please welcome to the studio, Charlie Hall.
What's up, guys?
Good to have you back, bro.
It's good to be back. Thanks for having me. But before we start, I'd just like to take a moment to thank every one of our fans who have kept us in the top spot for 5 weeks in a row. Thank you guys so much.
They are digging the new singles, bro. Now, you have released 3 songs in the past 2 months. Just be upfront with us right now. Are you making an album or what?
We're in the booth every day, bro. You know, I had such a touching moment tracking vocals for a deeper cut on the record. I was frustrated with my performance, and just not happy with what I'd written. But then the studio dog came up behind me and relieved me of all of that pent-up tension. After that, it all just flowed naturally out of me.
That's great. So, as you may have heard, the fans have dubbed you guys as the inventors of a new subgenre called BETCo. What do you have to say about this radical path to start?
Well, it all started on my uncle's farm when I was a teen. I saw this goat alone in the stables and I was just like, screw it, you know?
You guys always know what's up when it comes to getting down and dirty in the stables. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio today. Is there anything else you want listeners to know?
Having sex with animals is fun. Life shouldn't be measured in length. And for all you kids out there who want to be just like your boy Charlie Horse, remember, if it feels good, do it.
Awesome! Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, all right, we've got a live acoustic set from Furry Frenzy this afternoon, but for right now, here's Check Out That Ass from the brand new Burrophilia album, Heavy Petting Zoo, in stores now.
And I know she'll be the death of me, at least we'll both be numb. And she'll always get the best of me, the worst is yet to come.
Have you ever met someone who liked or even used boysenberry syrup? I get strawberry and blueberry. It's okay. I might not like them very much myself, but depending on your meal, a more fruity syrup might, meet your needs better. But boysenberry? If I ever saw somebody genuinely using boysenberry syrup in an IHOP, I'd call the police. I'm not exaggerating. So I guess that was just an overly complicated way of saying, yes, the old-fashioned syrup is the one I want. Can you please pass it? I'm in love with you. I'm happy my choices of syrups have received such resounding approval. Oh, Jesus, you're being serious.
Of course I'm being serious. Why wouldn't I?
I don't know. Maybe because a 24-hour IHOP isn't really the place you'd expect a proclamation of love? And that's besides the fact. Don't you think we're a little young to... Look. Let's talk about this when we're sober, okay? I don't think we're as sharp as we should be if we're going to have this conversation.
I mean, I know we're drunk and all, but that doesn't change how I
Later, Harlem.
I'll take that as I know the said proclamation, I guess.
Harlem waits.
Yeah?
I don't want this food to go to waste. Can we please just eat it?
Sure.
Oh my god! Wait, never mind.
What was that?
You see that woman in the beret over there? I thought it was my faculty advisor for a second, and my first thought was, oh yeah, Dr. Cunningham absolutely killing the beret game, which was quickly followed by, oh no, I cannot pretend to be sober in front of Dr. Cunningham right now.
Why would your faculty advisor be here this late?
I don't know. Critics just be like that sometimes.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's your faculty advisor. And hey, I'm sober. See? 1, 2, 3, sober.
Do you want me to ask the waitress for some new ones?
No. I like salt, especially on potatoes. Unsalted potatoes are like, what's even the point?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
It's kind of like potatoes have been going their whole lives all starchy and bland. And sure, they could try to get a little more interesting by frying and all, but if you fry a plain potato, you just get a crunchier potato with some oily aftertaste. It's not until salt decides to team up with the potatoes that their true potential can be realized. That only through this codependent relationship they form can they become what they were always meant to be. A plate of hash browns served to 2 plastered 20-year-olds at 3 in the morning in a 24-hour IHOP.
Damn, Harlan, that was beautiful.
That's us, Jersey.
What?
We're the hash browns. All my life, I have been a boring, bland potato, and it wasn't until you came into my life that I even had potential. You're my salt. When I'm with you, it's like everything makes sense. Like I know what I'm meant to be in the world. Oh my God. That was so stupid. I'm so sorry. We were just really plastered, and I kind of got into a groove.
Me too.
What?
I'm in love with you too.
But I thought you said we should be sober when we.
Okay. I might not be able to pass a breathalyzer, but I am 100% certain about this. It doesn't matter if we're at a 24-hour IHOP at 3 in the morning or if we're too young. I love you, Harlan. I love you too, Jersey.
Kids are different today. I hear every mother say, mother needs something today to come.
Brownies are done, ladies. Oh, thank goodness, I'm starving. You have to give me that recipe, Ruth. My grandchildren have been talking about these brownies since Thanksgiving. Not these brownies, Edie. This recipe dies with me. And what exactly is that going to be?
You know, ladies, I never thought we'd be so cliche, talking about our grandchildren and knitting. Are we boring?
Oh, definitely. Slow down, Peg. You can't eat too many.
Oh, but I've been waiting all day to get high.
Peggy, you're doing drugs, Peg?
Oh, it's only marijuana. And it's medical, Edie. I wouldn't be able to knit with these hands without it. Or put up with your judgment either, for that matter.
Tell me about it. I'm so glad they opened up that Netta in Brookline Village. My son picked me out some gel there. And let me tell you, it is a godsend to my aching back. Your son knows? You don't think he smokes weed, do you? Oh, I hope so. He can use some relaxation with that stick so far up his ass.
Oh, you're bad, Ruthie.
Let's talk about this some other time.
Why, Edith? It's legal now. What's the point of getting old if you can't get away with anything?
You know, Edith, we should really try it sometime. Oh, I couldn't. I'm not some rebellious teenager. Were you ever? Of course not. We were taught that kind of thing would land us on the streets or 6 feet under.
With legs like yours, taking a shower to land you 6 feet under.
That's fresh, Peg. If it helps, it helps. And you don't have to get high.
Though I recommend it.
Edith, why don't you try some of my cream sometime? If it's good enough for that Rob Gronkowski, it's good enough for you. I guess it can't hurt.
Look at you being bad, Edie. I'm proud. Really.
Oh, Jake, it's nice to like, you want to go to CVS, right?
Dude, I totally forgot. You guys don't mind if I stop in, right?
Is it okay if I just like stay outside?
Yeah, I'll stay out here with you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go grab some chips. Yo, wait. How do my eyes look?
They're kind of bad. Do you have any eye drops or anything?
No, I'll just go grab those too. Can you hold my bag? I don't want to go and smell it.
Yeah, for sure. So, Kyle, how do you feel?
Honestly, really chill. I wasn't expecting it to be this calming. It's funky yet relaxing.
Nice, man. I don't even think I got high my first time, so lucky.
I mean, I am really thirsty though. I always thought people were being like dramatic when they were talking about like munchies or whatever.
Oh, I got you. Can you hold this? For a
Yeah.
second? You can finish off with it.
Hey, you. It's out of your hand.
What?
Get away from that young girl.
Whoa, man, chill out.
Listen, I see kids like you around here all the time, and all you want to do is get young girls like her hooked on this stuff, right? Not on my side of town.
No, sir, she's my friend.
Yeah.
I'm calling the police.
Whoa, man. It's not that big of a deal. Like, it's not even his weed. I don't know what he's...
Hey, man. Here's a bug. We aren't bothering you. Mind your own business.
Fine. You guys still need to smoke that stuff somewhere else, got it?
Oh my god, that was so close.
We almost got our asses busted. Come on, Kyle. Lighten up. Nothing happened.
No, I'm just, yeah, it's no big deal.
Don't worry about it. That guy was just being a douche. That was so funny, though. Did you see how freaking mad he was?
That guy was probably bluffing. No way we would actually call the cops.
Oh, for sure.
We create the culture we want. Freedom and responsibility. You are not done yet. We will help you. Now give a warrior welcome to Officer Grimwald.
Listen up, you obstinate teeny boppers. You're killing yourselves and you're killing me. Now listen to this. To this day, 8 people have died and hundreds more have been hospitalized in critical condition due to illnesses caused by vaping. In 2 short years, many healthy teenagers and young adults have gone from living active lives to lives forever changed and hindered due to having damaged lungs. And Brookline is not immune.
Stanley, stop talking!
We've started to see some other bad effects of vaping too. If you vape, you are statistically more likely to be killed on sight by a shark the second you wade your skinny little legs into the ocean. Vape Nation, Vape Nation members are more susceptible to lightning strikes because the extra chemicals in their blood give them a localized negative charge. And, whoa, there's some scary people out there. You might get shot on sight, bro! The second you take your USB of death out of your little JanSport.
Freedom and responsibility.
Now, I know some of you little idiots are already addicted to the devil's humidifier. Stop it and get help! Next, in order to stop you from stinking up the bathrooms, we're installing water vapor detectors. Yep! They detect water particles in the air. No more vaping for you. Of course, that means we had to take out the sinks and the toilets. They spray, the alarms go off. You know how it goes.
This is culture. We can do it. You and I are not done yet. Freedom. We will not help you.
Of course. Now, vaping is the easiest way to anger the authority figures in your life. So, if you hate your parents, hate your teachers, if you want to ruin everyone's expectations of you, choosing instead to rebel against the man, then vape. Because it's going to make us really, really mad.
This assembly is over. Clap!
you hold it for now.
You got it, Mark.
Any scenes, any moments, our preliminary question is always the same. Any scenes or any moments that stood out to you for any reason? One thing I will say is you're more than welcome to ask the BETCo ensemble any questions you want. We're really interested in a conversation happening. So not just a simple question and answer, but we'd love people to respond to each other. We will try and stop fist fights if they start to break out, but disagreement is okay. It's okay. Yeah.
I was very struck by the movie trailer scene. I want to know your inspiration for that one.
Movie trailer scene. Yeah. Eve.
Well, I know that when I heard, or when we decided that the topic for this show was going to be substances, my first thought was, oh no, what will my parents think? And so I was wondering how I could go off of that, and I think a good way to show that sometimes parents are okay with some things but not okay with drugs is a movie trailer where you see all of those things in rapid succession, just to bring out that contrast. So I think that was where the idea came from.
So
I really like each other.
It works.
does it work? Okay, it works. So I was just wondering why the bestiality scene. Like, what was the purpose of that scene?
Can I interrupt for 1 second? What do you think?
Well, I thought while watching it, it seemed, I mean, it was funny, but it seemed sort of out of the blue, and I didn't completely connect it to the topic.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I can project. So I actually had also a comment on the bestiality scene, which was that, like, I thought it was such an awesome risk. Like, whoever wrote that, I was really impressed. And then we put it up. And I mean, for me, at first I was like, they're just doing a bunch of bestiality puns. Okay. But I thought the idea was like people who are cool and celebrities and like rappers and singers, whatever, like saying things are cool that could be like dangerous or not good for you or whatever. Which I actually thought was kind of a conservative message, which I thought was really interesting. Like, because I mean, Snoop Dogg smokes weed, is it like that? Like, are we really worried for Snoop Dogg and ourselves? But I thought that was the point of it to me. But and I thought it was an awesome risk and very real.
Our thought process behind that scene was pretty close to that. It was specifically looking at the opioid crisis. We were looking at how the music industry glorifies the use of opioids. And so it was sort of like, the thought was, what is a way we could show how insane it is, how these opioids are talked about so freely. And so we were like, oh, what if we make it something also that's bad, that people will be like, whoa, that's crazy. And so we were like, bestiality, that's crazy. And so it was trying to highlight like how normalized it's become for these really bad things to be talked about in such a positive way in the music industry. So it was like, oh, what if something else that's bad for the world was talked about so fondly within music?
And that's a generational thing on my part, where I'm like, rappers just talk about weed, right? Like, I didn't even know that I didn't know.
Went from weed to...
Yeah.
You find in like SoundCloud rappers these
no.
days talking a lot about Xanax, all the stuff, you know.
Yeah. Sweater.
My sweater.
Okay, so I thought it was brilliant also. One comment, quick question. For me, the most powerful segment amongst many was the one which really showed the difference between the way people are perceived according to race in terms of their use in terms of their use and the way it would get policed, etc., and how that feels scary and dangerous. So I love that. And the other thing is question, the piece where the new parents, I read that as grandparents own children and died of opioid addiction. I'm wondering if that was right. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So number one, thank you. I wrote the, I titled it "Fun Times at CBS," and so yeah, thank you for realizing that. I think just a quick little input on that. That when we first really decided on doing substance abuse and opioids, and just drugs in general. We really made it a point that you can't talk about drugs in this country without talking about race and how that has impacted Black and brown communities specifically. So yeah, that's why I really, really wanted it to be in there. And the grandparenting class scene, it is because I think so often we think about the people who are dying from opioids, and then we tend to forget, or not sort of, I don't want to say center, but we tend to just put in the back burner the people who are affected heavily by this. And Alp showed us this video of a few stories of grandparents whose children had died, or maybe not even had died, maybe they were just somewhere else in a really terrible place, and they have to take care of their children, and they have to be parents again. And the frustration of, it's terrible, the frustration of having to be like, what did I do wrong the first time that my child fell into this opioid? Like, how am I gonna not mess up again? Yeah, this scene was really unique, but we thought it was really important to be in there, yeah.
Can I pass it on? Yeah, pass it on to Chris.
I just want to appreciate Mark for fighting to get that scene on the roster for the show, because we make a bunch of scenes and then Mark has us vote on the one that we want to put in there. And not a lot of people voted for that one, but Mark thought that it was just so tragic and such a clear and dramatic situation that is a really powerful corner of the show. So I'm glad that he fought to put it on.
Did you guys do some research, or where did you base, for example, on your scene that was very well done, where you are describing how you feel and that you are not an addict and etc. Did you research did you, I don't know if you interviewed or read somewhere, how does that feel, how many days do you need to feel like that, and etc. And also, I researched in general about weed, the risks of weed, the real risks of vaping. I think one of the things I grasped in all the scenes was your, I don't know if anger, shock, or something like that, because the grown-ups don't give explanations. They just tell you, don't do that. This is the devil, I'm going to disown you, etc. And you're not stupid, you're all so smart. And I think honestly, that if we could speak to you guys with facts, that would be easier for you to make a really informed decision. And you were all great. Congratulations, and I would like to listen to you.
It was just like about the me researching for the scene that I did about like how things feel like addiction and such. Sylvia also might want to butt in at some point because she wrote the scene, but I can attest that I didn't really look anything up specifically for that scene. I just came up mostly. I just like worked with mostly who I was talking to, which was my parents. It was supposed to be the idea was that it was like some sort of intervention with me and my assumed weed use. But I have the fortune of having parents that really like give me the information I need to know about certain things, and I'm really lucky to have that. So I do know a lot about stuff. If I have a question, sometimes I ask them, or I just like I'll look it up myself. So I mean, I know stuff about it. I don't really know about being addicted to anything, but I don't know. I just did it the way I thought I should do it, really. Say anything?
Yeah, I think I kind of intentionally kept that one vague because it applies to something like weed where it's not necessarily like a life-threatening addiction in any way, or it could be something where the person really is addicted and despite them thinking that they aren't, they are. They're in denial. So like it fits both scenarios, and I like it like that because it makes the problem a little bit more complicated.
I thought the scene in the IHOP was really interesting because you hear a lot about like people driving drunk or people doing dangerous things drunk. And I thought it was interesting kind of that what they were doing was professing love drunk. And I'm wondering kind of how you think about that.
The thought process behind that scene was so much of the conversation surrounding drugs is that when you are on drugs, you are going to make careless decisions that you will end up regretting. And so we thought it would be interesting to look at if the careless decisions one were to make on drugs actually were to be the right ones, what would that look like? And how would that impact the lives of the people that were there? Because they start off the scene quite drunk, very giddy, and then one of them says this thing, and you see it like slowly wear down the other character, and the character's like, comes to realization where it's like, yeah, we're drunk, but I'm starting to clear up a little bit. We got some food in our system. We're getting a little more sober, and yet all I can still think about is how I'm in love with you. And so much of the dialogue would be like, oh, and the next day they both regretted talking about that. But what if only through the catalyst of them both being drunk in this IHOP do they form this wonderful relationship?
Yeah, loud and proud. Shout it out.
Oh, yeah, it's just an observation. Might have preferred if you were going to do it again to a new audience, not to tell people the topic. I don't think you had to. And one of the things I felt like it did was early on, it wasn't clear. I think it put the early skits at what you might call a tonal disadvantage, because we weren't sure, okay, this is going to be, it sounds like a serious topic. Is it okay to laugh?
Yeah.
Are they trying to be serious? I think if we hadn't known, we would have responded more organically. I mean, it became clear after 3 or 4 of the skits that there was going to be a mix of comedy, seriousness, and a strange turn into bestiality at one point. But I just think it sort of put the early ones. It might have been better to have it sort of, occur to us what the topic was rather than know at the outset.
Awesome. Good. Thank you.
To me, that very first scene was very interesting and unique. But I just want to know, where did you get the idea of puppets?
Well, we were thinking about how we got the prompts to the opioid crisis from Mark, and we were thinking about how that would affect children, and we didn't want it to be a really, really depressing, like, children are affected really, really terribly sometimes by this crisis, so we thought it could be fun and interesting to do it with puppets. And it turned out well, I think.
There's also something just really, what I find in general is that with people is that there's something very chilling and haunting about very innocent things, saying very dark things. And it also goes to show how this is reaching, like this is not just an adult problem or a certain generation's problem. This is going to affect everyone, including children. So yeah.
So also talking about the first scene and what you sort of were saying, I felt that person, like, it made me feel very almost uncomfortable. Like, I didn't know, like, this is funny and very Muppets, but also they're talking about a really serious issue. And so, not in like a bad way, uncomfortable, but like, like, I didn't know how to feel. So, I don't know if this is a question. It kind of is. But like, yeah, it's a vibe check. But like, what, and I don't know if you had a specific thing you were trying to elicit from the audience, but was there like a specific feeling that you guys felt making it? Like, did you feel like, we're gonna make people question how we talk about things? Well, obviously, yes. But, I'm trying to think of how to make this more specific, but like, how did it feel writing in such an innocent, through such an innocent lens about such a serious and intense topic?
So we've got a comment from Ralph in back on this, I think.
Just to follow up on your question, what I took from that first scene was that young children should be protected from the awfulness of the world, and young children are not protected from the awfulness of the world when, for example, their parents are crushed by opiates or whatever. And so this struck me as sort of black satire on the fact that young children are growing up unprotected, and this is a way of trying to make palatable what's unpalatable for young children. That's what I took away from it.
Any other responses in the house? No, we can take somebody up here for another question. Simon, do you want your question answered specifically from someone up here?
If they would like to answer it, if not, whatever.
Ironically, Maya is the one who wrote this scene, and she's not here. She's in Mexico?
She's building a house in Mexico.
She's building a house in Mexico. She's better than all. But yeah, I feel like what was clear when she first performed this was definitely what you said about how we have to, how do we like tread the line between how much do we tell children and how much do we like censor almost. And genuinely, like, Simon, whatever you feel about the scene is like whatever you feel. And like, I don't think there's an exact feeling that you have to feel about it. I just think whatever your response is whatever your response is.
I think with that scene, what we really wanted was to make you think. So I think the uncomfortableness that you felt was kind of what we were looking for, because a lot of people are like, are so confused on what to tell people like in different ages and how to, because you want to really protect people from this tragic experience and how it can affect others, especially at a young age. So we kind of wanted to mix the both and try to figure out how we would talk about such a tragic experience in a way that would be appropriate for children and would get the point across.
We have time for one last question. It's going to go to Luca. This was so much pressure.
Okay. So my question is about the skit where the two girls are ordering from Domino's. I just want to know what your inspiration is behind that scene.
So originally that scene was about anxiety sort of, because that was before we decided to choose drugs, but then we decided we really liked that scene, so we decided to sort of change it a bit, and we made it more about immaturity and how the girls were they thought, or they were it was sort of showing how they were super immature when calling the pizza guy, but then they were too young to call the pizza guy, but then they were old enough to be smoking weed and stuff, and yeah. As Tamar said, it's also about how people often have anxiety, like calling people, but it's become so normalized how easy it is to call for something such as substances, as it's more common and more, not really more common, but more talked about and more normalized at this point, and how people are able to call things as the person who gets them substances and things like that, as of calling Domino's, because they're so used to it and it's just kind of a addiction and just a part of their thought process.
Thank you so much for participating. Suggestion givers during the improv portion and conversationalists in the BETCo portion. So give one more hand for Needs Improv, please.
I'm Ori.
Danny. Tamar. Phoebe. Barbara.